as Natalie Elphicke, the Conservative MP since 2019 for Dover, defected to the Labour Party. 2 consecutive weeks, 2 defections of Tory MPs to the Labour Party. Tom Harwood, you have the words from Natalie Elphicke that you can bring us.
Absolutely. This was released at midday, just as MPs were preparing for Prime Minister's questions, just as the Prime Minister got to his feet. Natalie Elphicke said, "Today I announced that I have decided to join the Labour Party and that I will sit in Parliament as a Labour MP. When I was elected in 2019, the Conservative Party occupied the centre ground of British politics. The party was about building the future and making the most of the opportunities that lay ahead for our country. Since then, many things have changed. The elected Prime Minister was ousted in a coup, led by the unelected Rishi Sunak. Under Rishi Sunak, the Conservatives have become a byword for incompetence and division. The centre ground has been abandoned and key pledges of the 2019 manifesto have been ditched." She goes on to write about how the Labour Party has changed from the leadership under Jeremy Corbyn and points to what she sees as policy failures from the Conservative Party on migration and house building.
So let's cross now to our panel. We'll start by getting some reaction to the Conservatives, the Health Minister, Helen Whately. I mean, you must have known Natalie. Obviously, she was a colleague, perhaps a friend even. Did you have any inkling that she wasn't happy in the Conservative Party?
I do, of course, know Natalie, and I'm really, really disappointed to see the decision that she's taken. I'm also pretty surprised because for Dover, immigration is a really big issue. Small boats is a really big issue. She's been very critical herself of Labour's policy on immigration. She said herself, don't trust Labour on immigration. They want open borders. So it's not clear to me how she will explain to her constituents in Dover, for as long as she represents them, this decision she's made when immigration is such a big issue to cross the floor and join a party that doesn't have a plan on immigration, that doesn't want to control our borders.
Would you like her to call a by-election? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, my reflection on the question you asked me, which is my reaction to her crossing the floor, is considering her position in the past on immigration, that she really cared about this issue, rightly so, it's an important issue to her constituents, is how can she become a Labour Party MP when Keir Starmer doesn't have a plan on immigration? If anything, it's a plan for an amnesty.
Well, Steve Reed, I want to show you some tweets that Natalie Elphicke has put up in the last year or two. Let's see if we can play these now, because it does seem that she has had a lot to say about Keir Starmer, saying Starmer has no plan, that he has no plan to stop the boats. He didn't even mention stopping the boats in his speech. He's been very critical of the Shadow Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, pointing to astonishing interviews and the lack of plans, saying just working with France won't work, that Labour's small boat policy is a policy for open-door immigration. These are the tweets of your new Labour MP. Very, very critical of your Shadow Home Secretary, very, very critical of your party leader. Why on earth is she in your party?
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome her to the Labour Party. That's the second defection in as many weeks. Dan Poulter last week, an NHS doctor, and today Natalie, who's the MP for Dover, where literally the small boats are landing. Now, of course, she's been a Conservative MP, so she will have been pumping out the things that the Tory party is handing her out to tweet. Of course she has. But what she's saying today is she's reached the end of her tether with this party. Rishi Sunak has broken so many promises, particularly on the things she really cares about. Housing. We've got a housing crisis in this country and the Conservatives are refusing to tackle it. But small boats as well. Literally, the MP for Dover, the small boats are landing on the beaches at Dover. She is sick to the eye teeth of a government that is only coming up with gimmicks, not a deterrent. And we know that's the case because since Rishi Sunak passed his latest piece of legislation, and they pass a new piece every few months, it always fails.
And you always vote against them.
But they always fail. That's why, Gloria. 2,400 people have arrived since they passed their Rwanda Act because they know, just like I know, Rwanda is not a deterrent, it's a gimmick. You've got to get a plan which is going to smash the gangs to pieces that are getting people across the channel, and that is the thing they're refusing to do.
We've just read there repeatedly, Natalie Elphicke has been critical of Labour's plans to just work with the French, just go after the gangs, no policy to stop people actually coming across the channel, just going after the plan upstream extreme. She says that won't work. Was she lying then, or is she lying now?
She was clearly being given handouts from the Conservative Party that she retweeted, but on reflection, she has had enough of a party that is lying through their teeth and failing to tackle the problem of Rwanda because they haven't got a clue how to do it. You've got to smash the gangs.
We're going to come on to immigration in a second. I want to ask you this question, and this, I haven't looked at social media, but I can pretty much imagine what the left of your party are saying. That you, Keir Starmer, have done everything to marginalise legitimate left-wing socialist voices in the Labour Party, yet you welcome Tories. What do you say to those? You can probably guess who they are, some of them, who would make that argument to you.
We want to be a party that can bring this country back together after the Tories have divided it. Every single Tory MP and every single Tory voter that comes over to the Labour Party is more than welcome because they are backing a changed Labour Party, unrecognisable from the Labour Party that lost the last general election, offering the country its future back after these years of failure under the Conservatives. I mean, Natalie Elphicke is only doing what a lot of Conservative voters have done. In North Yorkshire, we won the mayoralty there. That used to be rock-solid Tory heartlands. Aldershot, the home of the British Army, Rushmore Council voted a Labour councillor for the first time last week. So Tories are coming across to Labour in their droves because they've given up on their party's failure and they're investing their hope in Keir Starmer's changed Labour Party.
Helen Whately, more time in her statement, of Natalie Elphicke's statement, is spent talking about construction, talking about building, than it is talking about migration. She says that the Conservative Party in 2019 was about building the future. She says that under Keir Starmer, the Labour Party is about building a Britain of hope. And she devotes paragraph after paragraph about plans to build more houses. In fact, and this is something that hasn't really been published, underneath her statement, we get reams of information about Tory failures on house building. Just how much of this defection do you think is actually less to do with migration and more to do with the failure of the Conservative Party to pass planning reform?
So I know that Natalie cares about housing. It's something that she's been interested in many years. But she will also know that with progress that we are making on housing and that we are seeing houses built across the country, but we are also taking a choice to, for instance, make sure that we protect our countryside and look after the green belt, unlike Keir Starmer party, which threatens the green belt. So it's important to build in the right places. I mean, the other thing is, I think Labour's record on housing is a strong one. For instance, I get lots of complaints in my constituency in Kent that because the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, hasn't been building in London, we're seeing building outside London in the countryside. So actually, I think she should be thinking twice again if she thinks she's going to Labour to get housing. But again, I mean, the number one thing I'm really surprised about is because her position has been so strong on immigration that actually that she has crossed the floor even when Labour has no plan on immigration.